we've seen a full-year pre-tax profit more than double for the year to March, and helped by a growth the company's seen in assets. Very briefly, run us through the year that was for Centum Investments.
Sorry, Alishia, please repeat the question.
Just taking a look at the numbers today, they've certainly come in very impressive, a more than doubling of profit when looking at that pre-tax profit number for the year through to March. Run us through the year that was for the company.
Thank you very much, Alishia. We recorded good performance, profitability more than doubled. Return on opening shareholder funds was at 37%, which is as compared to the NSE index return of 4%. And total assets grew from 9 billion to 15 billion. Mm-hmm. Now, this performance was underpinned by excellent performance across our three business lines. We are invested in private equity, real estate, and quoted private equity. Our private equity business line recorded a return in excess of 30%. Real estate recorded a return in excess of 40%. And our quoted private equity business line outperformed the NSE index by 14%. Now, in 2009, when we unveiled our strategy, one of the promises we made to investors that we would aim to consistently deliver market-beating returns. Mm-hmm. And this performance is in line with that commitment that we gave to our investors 2 years ago.
Well, you've got plans underway at this stage to ramp up even further your investments across East Africa. Let's look at some of the sectors you're now targeting. Yes,
our investment strategy is to invest in sectors that are focused on fulfilling domestic demand and that provide basic goods and services. And those sectors are primarily in the financial services space, in the consumer product space, that includes fast-moving consumer goods, production of basic goods and services. Mm-hmm. We are also looking to invest in real estate, which we consider to be, again, a basic requirement in the region. And so our investment criteria from a sectoral perspective is very similar across the three business lines. Our target is to... Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, yes. But just honing in on your investments made in the real estate space, many want to know what next. I mean, what's your strategy with regards to the kind of investments we're seeing being poured into the real estate sector? Are you looking at developing that land or holding your positions there?
Thank you. Our strategy is fairly simple. What we want to do is to create world-class destinations. We have two fantastic sites. One is on 100 acres. It's in Nairobi, very near the United Nations headquarters. And the other one is on 300 acres. It's on the shores of Lake Victoria, about 15 kilometers from the Entebbe International Airport on the way to Kampala. These are two excellent locations, and we are working with some of the leading master planners to develop a destination in which we will participate as the principal investor. The idea is to create an investment grade real estate asset class that we can then offer to both institutional and retail investors in our market. Mm-hmm. in Kenya. And so we will be investing in phase one, and because we own the entire site, we'll derive significant value capture from the value that will be created out of the first phase of the project. We expect to complete the master plan in October of this year, after which we'll be ready to break ground on phase one towards early 2012.
And when it comes to funding of that expansion, those expansion plans, is it coming purely off your balance sheet?
At present, it's all coming out of our balance sheet. However, as we progress and develop this project further, we will be inviting other investors to join us and invest directly into the project companies. These two projects have already received considerable interest from investors across the world. And we are evaluating the various expressions of interest we have received to make a decision on which investor would be best suited for this particular project.
Let's look at your exposure towards the listed investment space. I mean, we've seen you getting out of some of your investments, and the latest of that being a departure from your investment in carb assets specifically. Are you going to be pulling out even further from your exposure to the equity space, or is that largely intact?
The exit of Kabacid is typical of our strategy. Our strategy is to make an investment, generate a return and exit, and recycle that cash into other opportunities. We invested in Kabasid 2 years ago. We invested approximately 400 million shillings. We exited this year. All in, we made close to 200% holding period return. We were convinced that that was a decent return, and we've identified other opportunities where we believe we'll make a better return. Our strategy this year is to further diversify our marketable security portfolio geographically, and we are currently working on a number of attractive opportunities, and we'll make announcements once we close some of the investments that we've been pursuing.
Of course, being highlighted in today's numbers is the fact that we're looking at 50% target being set for investments outside of Kenya by 2014. That's still on the continent, though. Are you looking at all at extending your geographic footprint outside of the African continent?
No, at present, up until 2014, our focus is on Africa. It's important to note that in 2009, we were a purely Kenyan company. We were 100% invested in Kenya. So far, we've invested 20% outside Kenya. We have cross-listed our shares in Uganda, and we'll be seeking the approval of our shareholders to cross-list in Rwanda and in Tanzania as well. But I believe, based on the progress we'll have made up to 2014, we'll then make a decision whether to expand further outside the continent.
What about decisions with regards to your dividend policy? Of course, this with the Kenyan market being largely retail investor-based, focus is on what that policy is going to be moving forward.
The policy is very clear. We have a zero dividend payout policy until 2014. Our directors have recommended a bonus share issue of 1 new share for every 10. That's similar to what we did last year. Last year, it was very well received. And what essentially does it allows our shareholders to create their own dividend policy. Some may opt to sell some of their shares, and others may opt to retain all the shares. So if you look at the value that was distributed to shareholders last year, it was in excess of 1.2 billion shillings, and our shareholders, gave us very positive feedback on that move.